one of my favorite things about Wellington Zoo is the Animal and Wildlife Hospital, which actually is in the visitor area of the zoo. So, visible clue that zoo and conservation efforts go hand in hand. Can you tell us more about that and as well point out why it's so important that it's in the visitor area and not behind the scenes?
My whole time in zoos, it's always been a lot of the really cool work happens behind the scenes. And sometimes it has to happen behind the scenes for a whole variation of reasons. But I've always had the belief and the philosophy that whatever we can be transparent about, whatever we can show people that we're doing, what is the work, we should take that opportunity. So when we built Te Kohanga, it was really a process where we discussed how much we were going to have on visitor view. And we had a lot of debate around things like postmortems and whether or not we would do that on visitor view. We reached the conclusion that we could not just control the narrative, but include people in the narrative to understand the care that had gone into these animals before we had to euthanize them or whatever. So we always have taken the principle that we're as transparent as possible. Sometimes we can't do things on visitor view, but we're always very open in our social media talking about what we've done for these animals. The animals are not ours. The animals are themselves. So we have to have respect for them and respect for their story. So being able to tell that story with respect and with dignity is really important. And that's about being transparent and saying we care about these animals and this is what we've done to make their life better and to give them a good death.
And I think that's why I really like going there. It's because you learn so much more than just your normal zoo story. It's really actively involving the visitor on all sites and all things zoo.
And it's happening more and more in the zoo world. You know, a lot of the new veterinary hospitals that are being built around the world are actually taking that model and using that model of transparency and talking to people about the care that we give to wildlife. 70% of their caseload is wildlife. 30% is the animals in our care, but you know, often people can't see what's happening with wildlife when they're brought into a zoo hospital. So it's really important. People might never have seen an albatross, for example. When you see an albatross up close for the first time, it is like magic. I mean, they look like they are painted beings. They don't look real. So for people to be able to see this magical animal up close into Kohanga is incredible. Or when we've had kakapo into Kohanga. I mean, they're incredible animals. And so to be able to show people this and show how we care for them, it's actually a game changer for people. And it's certainly a game changer for zoos, I think. I think you're right, Anna, that being able to show people this, being able to talk about the care, people can ask questions of our vets or our animal care teams. They're very willing to answer them. It just brings the whole community behind the conservation of those species.